Hello everybody, my name is Frank Lowe and I am working with HMS Industrial Networks in Central European region. I am working in business development for drives and motion control and also represent the HMS Phase 2 PI in Germany. Being active in several PI working groups and supporting technology workshops for the past 2.5 years caught my passion for the PI technologies and activities. Today I would like to introduce you to the PROFIdrive technology together with Silke Glasstetter of PI in Germany.
Frank, good to have you here. And you brought us a very exciting topic today, because PROFIdrive gains more and more importance in drive technology. What is it all about with PROFIdrive?
Well, in one word, the utilization of numerous drives of various vendors in a production plant automatically causes a high effort concerning integration and maintenance. But PROFIdrive allows to reduce this effort to a minimum.
This sounds too good to be true. How does this work then?
Actually very simple. Imagine that an 8-man skull, 9 people from different countries with totally different languages sitting in the same rowing boat, 8 rowers and 1 steersman who dictates the rhythm. All 8 are supposed to row in exactly the same rhythm at exactly the same time, rowing in strict time, but each one only understands his own language, and all languages are also different from the one of the steersman. So all 8 rowers are supposed to do exactly the same thing, but none of them is able to understand the commands of the steersman, and neither there is a communication amongst themselves. In order to allow that 8 rowers understand the rowing commands, which are all exactly equal in meaning for all of them, the steersman now has to buy 8 dictionaries, needs to study them and must be able to speak 8 foreign languages and has to establish 8 totally different communication relations. And all this for exactly the same purpose and goal, just to row in exactly the same sequence.
Okay, this really sounds terribly complicated and extremely costly. Couldn't this be way easier if all of them wouldn't speak one language?
You are dead right. The steersman would only need 1 dictionary and all rowers would receive and understand only 1 command for the same action. And the 8 rowers could even communicate amongst themselves. And this is exactly what PROFIdrive does. Unification of drives from various vendors to 1 single language. This saves time, effort and reduces cost for OEMs as well as for end users. PLC programs can be reused plant-wide, and only 1 documentation is needed, and not the 8 different dictionaries as in our example of before. Consistency instead of interfaces, and 1 single technology instead of technology variety. This is what PROFIdrive stands for. A drive profile that covers all application requirements of drive technology by its 6 application classes. And Profinet provides the exact match as the drives network due to its scalable communication performance.
Alright, the combination of Profinet with PROFIdrive provides us with 1 single solution for all technical drive applications. Sounds great, but I am afraid I have not yet understood. What exactly do the PROFIdrive application classes mean?
Well, the 6 PROFIdrive application classes define all necessary functions for the different technical requirements to drives applications. Let's have a closer look at each application class one by one. Starting off with application class 1. Application class 1 drives are standard drives for simple velocity control operating asynchronous motors. The set value for velocity is provided by the superior PLC and the velocity control is executed in the drive system. Automation remains in the superior PLC, and application examples for application class 1 are pumps, fans, conveyor belts or elevators, for example. Application class 2 is exactly the same as application class 1, but the automation is distributed to several drives, and the drives contain technology functions which they can execute on themselves. Let's have a look at application class 3. Application class 3 drives operate servo motors with closed loop control. The application class 3 drives are positioning servo drives, where in addition to drive control like velocity and position control loops, the drive also contains a position control PLC. This makes an AC3 drive to an independent self-controlled single-axis positioning drive. Superior technological processes are controlled by the system PLC. The PLC just sends a start command for positioning to the application class 3 drive via PROFInet. The drive then executes the job and returns "I am in position" when done. Typical applications for application class 3 drives are crew caps and format adjustments like cutter knives for positioning of the knife for foil cutting at production machines like this. Now we look at application class 4 and 5. Looking at application class 4 drives, we are leaving the non-synchronized PROFInet operation and enter the isochronous real-time operation of PROFInet. For coordinated motion control, a centralized motion controller calculates and coordinates the position control for all axes, whereby velocity control is still executed down on each axis. The position control loop is closed via PROFInet. Clock synchronization of position and velocity control achieved by PROFInet isochronous real-time, IRT, so-called. Typical applications for application class 4 drives are robots and machine tools. Application class 5 drives are the same as application class 4, but instead of a position set value interface, application class 5 just provides a velocity set value interface. Application class 5 functionality is used, for example, when velocity synchronization of two axes is required. An example for an application class 5 drive is a web guiding system, for example. Alright, let's have a look at application class 6. Application class 6 drives represent decentralized automation on clocked processes. The complete automation sits on the drives in clocked processes and, for example, electronic gears. Clock synchronous cross-communication between the drives is a requirement. The master axis provides its position set value to one or more slave axes, which will then follow the movement of the master axis by means of coupling their own drive control to the one of the master axis. This is based on isochronous real-time communication with PROFInet IRT. Typical application functions for AC6 drives are, for example, an electronic gear, camshaft, angularity aligned operation, and the flying knife. These are the PROFIdrive application classes.
This means that the PROFIdrive application classes define and cover all technical requirements in terms of drive functions. Great. And then you talked about the interaction of PROFIdrive together with PROFInet and its scalable communication performance.
Correct. PROFInet is scalable in its communication performance based on the application requirements. For non-clock synchronous communication, by the way, for example, AC1 to AC3, PROFInet RT is fully sufficient. So the PROFInet RT stands for PROFInet real-time. Well, for application classes 4 to 6, where PROFInet IRT, where clock synchronous operation is a requirement, PROFInet IRT provides the application, provides the performance that is required for this type of application. And last but not least, PROFInet provides performance for the future, because usually application class 6, 4, and 5 drives run at 100 microseconds PROFInet cycle time. So far, the fastest PROFInet application ASIC right now gets down to a PROFInet cycle time of 31.25 microseconds. So PROFInet is future-proof. All right. So sorry for the interruption. There are different ways to implement PROFIdrive into your drive once you know what PROFIdrive can do for you. And once you already have Profinet in your drive, you can actually you can generate code to implement PROFIdrive into your drive. There is help existing. The community project, which has been the result of the work of the DriveZen encoder work group of PI in Germany, provides license-free profile software source code, and which is independent from platforms in NZC. And this code helps you to get started with PROFIdrive without feeling the need to read the whole specification. The code is tested in application class 1 and 4 and can be downloaded from the community project website. There is the internet address and where you can actually also register for this community project. On the website there is a moderator, and developers can exchange information, and they can also ask the moderator for smart hints. A lot of download tools can be downloaded from the community project website, and there's also the PROFIdrive profile tester, which can be used for development, troubleshooting, and for support for field errors, which may occur when your drive once runs in the field with PROFIdrive. The PROFIdrive profile tester is also being used in the test lab when you want to do your PROFIdrive conformance certification. So once you use the PROFIdrive profile tester during your development, you can ensure that you will pass the test lab, because they use exactly the same profile tester that you can use while you develop your PROFIdrive solution. If you don't have Profinet in your drive yet, then there is a variety of solutions that you can use from enabler technologies. These technologies provide a Profinet solution together with a PROFIdrive solution in one system. Let's have a look what's available here. We have ASICs, which provide Profinet IRT device chip. This is for single protocol solutions. The ASIC is only capable of doing one protocol, but usually the proprietary ASICs for Profinet cover most of the functions and features of Profinet already. And it's available as Profinet device and controller, and the PROFIdrive device is also encoded on the ASIC. A step further, FPGA solutions are also available from technology providers. Here you can load binaries into the FPGA, you can support multiple networks, and you have the support for Profinet and PROFIdrive as well. Multi-protocol processors usually come with loadable firmware, so this is a complete ready-to-go solution for multi-protocol. By loading the protocol into the chip, you can define what the chip is which language the chip is going to speak, and multi-protocol processors provide solutions for Profinet with PROFIdrive as well. All these three solutions usually provide a cycle time of 100 microseconds for Profinet IRT. Then we have modules like the plug and play modules ready to install, also multi-protocol. One of these chips is usually built into this ready-made module, could be used as an option card for a drive, and therefore also comes with Profinet and PROFIdrive, RT and IRT, and cover cycle times, Profinet cycle times of 100 microseconds as well. Last but not least, the piggyback modules, usually exactly the same as the plug-and-play modules, but do not have network connectors, and will be installed inside of the drive, and this way the vendor can support higher protection classes like IP67, for example, for a decentralized drive. So these are the enabler technology to PROFIdrive with PROFInet if your drive does not has PROFInet installed yet.
So there really is the right solution for all technical requirements available. Is there anything available that can help to simplify the developer's effort?
Absolutely. There are several tools available for PROFIdrive, which can also be downloaded from the community project website. Starting off with the PROFIdrive specification, which defines all the parameters and the protocol and the telegram of PROFIdrives for drives and encoders. The implementation guide, which defines the mandatory parameters as well as the optional parameters. Mandatory need to be installed and optional can be installed, and based on the drive, on your system, on your technology that you cover with your drive, you want to install more or less of these optional parameters. The implementation guide helps you to define which optional parameters you should have available in your drive based on the technology that the drive is supporting. The PROFIdrive test specification is available for developers as well. This test specification is the guideline for the test lab when they do the conformance testing for PROFIdrive. So when you follow the specification for the tests, when you do your own tests and you pass, then you can be absolutely sure that you will pass the test in the test lab, because the test lab is following exactly this test specification. And one very important point about PROFIdrive certification by PI. PROFIdrive is an international standard, an IEC standard, and PI certifies PROFIdrive. This ensures the quality and interoperability of PROFIdrive and PROFInet drives all over the world. Last but not least, engineering tool calling interface. PROFInet provides the opportunity to implement a third-party engineering tool for a drive, which then can be called out of the general engineering system of the plant, and then the specific parameters and the specific functionality of your drive can be configured, programmed from the original commissioning software package, but the data will be stored in the general engineering system, and therefore we have only one place where data is being held. This reduces maintenance effort tremendously.
So this means we are looking at a complete package for drive technology.
Absolutely right. PROFIdrive is one single standard for all drives applications. PROFIdrive provides you with documentation, tools, and the certification which ensures the quality of PROFIdrive. The community project profile code, which is provided free of charge, license-free, in a platform-independent format, which can be used for drives which already have PROFInet on board. And then there are the enabler technologies for PROFInet and PROFIdrive for new developments and for drives which do not yet have PROFIdrive or PROFInet or PROFIbus on board. PROFIdrive, the drive profile for PROFInet and PROFIbus. One single standard for all drive applications.
That was very interesting. Thank you very much, Frank.
It was a pleasure to me. Have a good day.